The Jays step up. Ice Trae was iced out. And the Boston Celtics are advancing to face the Philadelphia 76ers. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every day with a free, fresh podcast dropped directly to your device, whichever app you're using. Subscribe there if you're a first-time user. Welcome, first-time listener. Welcome aboard. Thank you for trying the podcast out. Regular listeners really appreciate you. Watch the show on YouTube. Hop into the comment section. Let me know what you think of the show, what you think of the team. I think I'm pretty happy with the team after the Celtics 128-120 Game 6 win. Series over. Goodbye, Atlanta Hawks. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate the competition. Now it's on to the Philadelphia 76ers. Later on, I'll get to some of the individual performances. I'll talk a little bit about how the Celtics kind of survived the test here. And sometimes things just don't go to script. And let's start, though, with just this game. Let's just start with this game. The flow of the game, the way this game went. This was just a wild one. And shout out. I know I've given the Hawks a lot of grief, and they're not a team that's exactly where they need to be. Let's say they admitted as much after the game. But look, the Hawks came in and they really played hard. They really played hard. And Jaylen Brown said after the games, like they had a lot of fight and they fought us the whole way. And they did. The first part of the series kind of went the way I thought it would, where the Celtics had a 32-point lead in game 1, a 22-point lead in game 2. And there was nothing in those two games that made anybody think, or made me think for sure, that the Hawks had this kind of fight in them. Game 3 felt like it was an outlier game. Game 4, hard fought, all of that stuff. First 4 games, I felt really good about where the Celtics were. Game 5 came along, and especially without DeJounte Murray, and maybe considering the way DeJounte Murray played in this game, maybe that was bad for the Celtics. Maybe they wanted him on the floor. But regardless, that game 5, Hawks team really kind of showed something. And games 5 and 6, game 4, starting game 4, but I thought they fought hard in game 4. I thought the Celtics really played mature down the stretch in game 4. And then game 5, they had it under their control. And then the ending was what it was. And, I did my whole thing about losing trust and really laying into the guys because I thought that was the right tone for for that game. The Celtics had a game that they were should have won, and they blew it. But the Hawks really put pressure on the Celtics, and the Celtics didn't handle it well. This game, the Hawks came out and put a lot of pressure on the Celtics, and the Celtics just kept going back and forth. The entire game, the Celtics came out with a little bit of a lead, and the Hawks came back. I mean, the Celtics came out really strong at the beginning, and I thought, hey, maybe this would have been the blowout that I'd been looking for, but credit the Hawks. They just kept on coming. Trae Young in the first quarter, 18 points. But as the game went on, I just kind of felt like when Trae had that big first quarter, that was going to be, I knew he wasn't going to score 72 points in the game. I didn't think it was going to go as well after that as it did for Boston. 7 points in the second quarter for Trae Young, 3 points in the third, 2 in the fourth. His last made basket of the game was at the 7:59 mark of the third quarter. That's amazing, considering that he could not miss at the beginning of the game. The Celtics started to ramp up their defense. They put Marcus Smart on Trae Young, and he just kind of like started face guarding him. The Celtics didn't help off of him. They didn't let him walk into as many shots as he was walking into, and they really shut that down. In the fourth quarter, he was three. What was his number in the fourth quarter? Or in the second half, he just had an outrageously bad shooting night. Let's say in the second half, and because I don't have the numbers in front of me, I thought I did. But the Celtics, he had no baskets in the fourth quarter. It it was just a complete turnaround, and that kind of helped them seal the game, because when they kept going to that in the fourth quarter, he just didn't have anything there. And what I was talking about with the DeJounte Murray, Trae Young kind of experience, I think that kind of played into it a little bit, where Trae just never kind of got the usage up in that second half where he could kind of build back into that 18-point for first quarter type of performance. So great defensive adjustment there by the Celtics. He even said after the game, Marcus was more aggressive. He wasn't leaving me as much. He was just more connected. So the Celtics kind of put that to bed. But hey, look, the Hawks just kept hitting 3-pointers. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, and they started hitting threes like crazy. DeAndre Hunter, 4 of 8. John Collins, 3 of 4. I mean, come on. 7 of 12 from Hunter and Collins. Hunter had been hitting shots for a couple of games, but still, that's not who they are. That's not their typical performance. But meanwhile, the Celtics got great performances out of the guys they needed those performances from. Jayson Tatum, I think, started to finally get away from the 3-pointers. I think early on he was settling for 3-pointers or choosing the 3-pointers instead of driving. And I even wrote down there was one 3-pointer that he had right after the timeout. So it was 12-2, Boston. They called a timeout. Atlanta called a timeout. He comes out, Tatum, and takes a 3 when he had an opportunity to drive. And I think he got a little bit on the passive side. And I wrote down, Tatum obsessed with 3-pointers. Once he started attacking more often, then the things started to change. Marcus Smart early on was great. And then it was like Marcus Smart early, Marcus Smart late. Tatum did a great job once he started getting downhill. Jaylen Brown was kind of felt like consistent throughout the game. He had a monster game, 32 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot 52%, 6 of 8 from 3. Jaylen pulled up for a 3. It was 113-110, and Jaylen pulled up for a 3, and I swear I gasped. I was like, oh, no. And he nailed it. There are probably like 2 or 3 3-pointers in this game where they launched, and I said, here we go. And it went in. I was like, all right, I'll take it. People tweeted me like, how do you feel about this offense? I'm like, whatever shots go in, I'm fine with at this point. So Jaylen Brown hit some shots. The big turning point here, Clint Capella caught an alley-oop. It was 113-110. And then Boston hit him with an 11-0 run to take an 8-point lead. The capper was a chase down block by Jaylen Brown, which was an awesome defensive play. They come down the other end. Horford misses a corner 3-pointer, but Tatum comes in and crashes and gets that big putback dunk, and that was it. That was a wrap. But just for good measure, Marcus Smart at the end scored. He had 7 fourth quarter points. All of them were in the final minute and a half. And then, obviously, the absolute best part was the Hawks trying to inbound the ball 4 separate times. I've never seen this before in my life. 3 separate times where Trae Young threw it off of Marcus Smart. Once hits him in the nuts. I mean, come on. Marcus, even just in defending the inbound, he gets hit down there. Like, come on, man. So Trae hits the ball off of Smart twice. DeAndre Hunter throws it off of Al Horford once, and then he just throws it away. So that was a wild sequence there. 18-7 close to the game. That's exactly the type of close you want. Maturity, that type of thing. It's all just it didn't earn any trust back from me because this wasn't prosperity. They still can't handle prosperity. I don't think they're any better at handling the good times. This was adversity. This was the Hawks fought, and the Celtics were like, we don't want to lose this game. We don't want to go back to Boston and have to face them in a game 7. You don't want that. You want days off. So the Celtics handle adversity very, very well. I trust the Celtics when it comes to adversity. When their backs are against the wall, they can be really good. When the pressure is on them to perform, they perform. It's when they're up 3-1 that they have the problems. Or when they're up 3-0, when they have a big lead, that's when they relax too much. So overall, just a great win, great finish, great poise down the stretch. There was a long stretch of this game where it felt like, maybe they didn't have it. They weren't playing their absolute best, but they found it. And that's the most important thing, which leads me into segment 2, which is sometimes it's just about the win. And it's not about how they win. It's just that they win. I'll talk about that a little bit more, that whole thing coming up next. First, today I got to bring you the Nissan Electric Player of the Week, which is the player of Game 6. And lots of choices here for me to look at. And the obvious choices seem to be Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, but I'm going to go with Marcus Smart because 22 points, 4 assists, 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3. He hits a huge three-pointer after, a couple of missed three-pointers. He was left wide open and he missed a couple. Then he comes back. He gets that extra little beat, takes the shot, and makes it. Today's the Electric Player of the Week is brought to you by the all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya. The Nissan Ariya packs pin you to your seat power and premium intelligence all in one electric vehicle. Premium intelligence is how I would describe Marcus Smart. On top of the typical kind of fiercely elegant game that he would normally play, but the premium intelligence in this game for Smart, just the way he defended Trae Young, the way he played down the stretch, the pass to Al Horford for the three-pointer, just the overall play. Marcus doesn't get a lot of opportunities to be the Nissan Electric Player of the Week, but this is a good one for him. And in this one, he did deliver on duality. He was a great offensive player and a great defensive player. And so when it comes to the perfect crossover, Marcus Smart showed that for you. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya is the electric vehicle for people who love to drive. Shop now at nissanusa.com. Today's show is also brought to you by BetterHelp. I'm a big proponent of therapy. I believe it's very, very important. And there are a lot of people say, well, I don't need therapy. I think I disagree with that concept. I think we could all use some, even if it's just talking through some minor challenges in life. I don't think everybody quite understands how those things start to pile up. I know I've benefited from therapy, and the stress of covering a team in the playoffs, this is where BetterHelp comes in, because I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be on the road in Philly and wherever, New York, Miami, wherever that next series is, assuming the Celtics get through that, and wherever the next series is. And it's going to be stressful. I'm going to be away from my family. I'm going to be working really hard. I'm going to be up super, super late, working late nights, BetterHelp is going to have me covered here because I can talk to a therapist online. I could do it over text. I could do it over the phone. It's all virtual and it's completely flexible, convenient, suited to my schedule. It's very simple. You just fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. It's really important to get matched with the right one. So you try it. If this person is not right for you, you can switch and there's no additional charge or anything like that. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult to get started. This is a great way to get started on your terms at your time. So give it a shot. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA gets you 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. I want to thank you for making the Locked On Celtics podcast your first listen every day. Why not make the second listen Locked On NBA? It's got you covered across the league. I think the next podcast that I'm going to do will be the Monday podcast. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens over the weekend. The Celtics will practice. If anything good comes out of it, maybe I'll drop a quick bonus one, but expect the next one to be dropping on Sunday. I'll see if I can. Basically, that'll be a Philadelphia series preview. So check that out. There's a lot of emotions that have come out over the weekend here. And I think as we look back at this first round win, the Celtics win it in 6. Okay, I thought Celtics in 5. And generally you say, okay, Celtics in 5, and they don't win it they take one more game. All right, that's one game, one way, either way. It's what are 5, 6? They won. It didn't take them 7. They won. They covered the spread. They won by 8. The spread was 7. So you won, you covered the spread. That's what more do you want, right? I think around here we want style points at this point. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the one that's overreacting to some of the reaction that I see. And I'm certainly guilty of that because a lot of the reaction that I see is on Boston Sports Journal. Did I introduce myself before? John Karalis. I cover the team for Boston Sports Journal. Oh boy, if you're a new listener, it's late. It's almost 4 a.m. I'm trying to do this in a almost live fashion, no editing, no nothing. But I write on Boston Sports Journal and there's, a bunch of commenters in there, subscribers and all of that. I'm on Twitter. There's a bunch of comments there and all that. YouTube, there's a bunch of comments there and all that. I see a lot of reactions and it feels like the wins when they win aren't good enough. The losses when they lose are end of the world. But you absolutely do not want the team to be extending a series. Let's get that out here first. You don't want a team to play 6 games when they should be playing 5, right? It's too much, I think, to expect a team to sweep. We probably shouldn't be saying they should have swept them. And that's unrealistic to say you should expect a sweep in the playoffs. I mean, unless it's a 1-8 and that 8 is just, one of those years where the 1 is obviously a dominant team and the 8 is a 37-win team because the bottom of the conference sucks. These are teams with pride. The Hawks are a really good offensive team, and they did play hard. And credit to those guys, credit to Quinn Snyder, credit to everybody on the team. They played their butts off. And hey, you know what? I came into the series with a certain expectation. I have to adjust my expectations, and we all have to adjust our expectations. And things change. Like for example, there was a play where John Collins got a 3-pointer late in the game, and the Celtics had been letting John Collins shoot all series long. And he got a 3-pointer. All of a sudden, they're scrambling to get out to try and challenge that shot because he's been hot. From game 5 to game 6, Collins is showing his absolute best. And I spent a lot of game 5 on press row questioning what the hell John Collins even is in the NBA. Is he actually a small ball center? Is he kind of like a more athletic version of Grant Williams who doesn't shoot as well? Like, what is he? Who is he? What's his future in the league? And here he is. As soon as we start doing that, he starts hitting these 3-pointers. And the Celtics had to react to that. They had to adjust. They had to change their game plan. If we expect a team and a coach to have to adjust to how the team is playing, wouldn't it stand to reason that we, as people who watch, have to and analyze? It's my job to analyze these things. We have to adjust our expectations. Just because I came in and I said, this is going to be an easy series. This is going to be a cakewalk. This is going to be Celtics in 5, and I'm doing the Hawks a favor by giving it to them in 5. I'm giving them the favor of shooting the lights out in one game. So, some of that's on me. Like I think I have to adjust my expectations. I still don't think it should have gone 6 games. They obviously should have closed them out. They shouldn't have been outscored the way they were in game 5. That is a given. You don't want to pile up extra games. You don't want to pile up extra minutes. Marcus Smart takes a couple of hits, and you don't know if that's going to linger. Probably not. But whatever, you just don't want these extra minutes. You don't want the extra 30 minutes that Al Horford played. Why? Those are unnecessary minutes. At the same time, the Celtics figured things out. Joe Mazzulla figured things out. Made great adjustments. You look for the silver lining in a lot of this stuff, and you just look at, hey, they won the series. They won the series. Again, I still don't trust them with a lead. I still don't trust them in the good times because that's where they let go. But they found a way to win this series. They found a way to hold off a very motivated, very confident team at home, shooting the lights out. The Hawks are not a good 3-point shooting team. They shot 43%. That's a game that the Hawks, they had everything going. And you could easily, as a Hawks fan, say, if Trae Young doesn't completely go cold in the second half, that's a game that the Hawks could have won. They were right there. They could have forced the 7th game. So credit to them and credit to the Celtics for figuring it out. Joe Mazzulla after the game said, my play calling at the end of game 5 slowed things down. So I kind of got away from that. Like that's important recognition to say. I think Joe Mazzulla said, and this is kind of the balance. We want more structure down the stretch. Hey, run some plays, call some plays. But I think Joe was overdoing it. He saw that he was overdoing it, so he dialed it back. That's learning. And honestly, if it takes losing one playoff game for Joe Mazzulla to learn an important lesson like that and adjust, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe there's a silver lining on the other side of it. If Joe Mazzulla has learned an important lesson out of a playoff loss in a game, in a series that they won, it's not great that it cost them a game, but also if he's going to learn that kind of lesson and it applies, and we saw them play better down the stretch here in the last 5 minutes, it was 180 degrees from what they played in the last game. Maybe that was worth it. Maybe that was worth it. So you don't get style points in the NBA. You don't. But like I said, close out the series when you're supposed to. But if it's an ugly win or a win that you didn't expect, or maybe they didn't play great and they still squeaked it out, you know what? Take it. The Celtics have advanced. Let's look at some of the individuals, some of the other guys who played really, really well. because there were some really good performances here. And I'll dive into some of the ones that I might have touched on already. First, let's talk about eBay and eBay Motors. This show brought to you by eBay Motors. And we know for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Those of you who are new on the Locked On Celtics podcast, I really do appreciate you hopping in here and checking the podcast out. Love to hear your opinions. Let us know the comments there in the YouTube section. That's a great way to kind of communicate and let me know what you think. Jaylen Brown became the third Celtic to score 30 or more points and shoot at least 50% overall in 3 straight playoff games. The third Celtic. Who are the other two? Only John Havlicek and Larry Bird. So that's nice. That's good company. JB was great in this game, and he's been great so far in the playoffs. Well, I shouldn't, not all playoffs, but the last couple of games he's been amazing for the Celtics. That's like I said before, some of the shots that he took, I was not sure about, but man, he stepped up and hit clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. It was just on the edge. No one got to I think it was like a bigger than a 5-point lead, throughout this game. And it was just whenever it looked like somebody was going to get some separation, somebody hit a shot. Early on for the Celtics, it was Malcolm Brogdon. I thought Brogdon did a great job. He had 17 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 6 of 13 from the field. He got the Celtics going early. His second quarter, I thought was it his second quarter or was his first quarter? His first quarter, late first quarter, when he really kind of kept the Celtics in it. He had 5 points late in the first quarter. Smart at the beginning of the first quarter. Like I said, 9 points in the first quarter. He had 7 points in the fourth quarter, all in the last minute and a half. He finished with 22. So 9 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the fourth quarter. So that's 16. And they had 6 points kind of spread throughout. But early on, Brogdon, early on, Marcus Smart. And then Jaylen Brown just kept rolling. 13 of 25 for Jaylen. That's great. And that big blocked shot down the stretch, setting up that key moment for Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum stepped up. Each guy, Tatum and Brown, scored 14 points in the second half. Tatum had a big fourth quarter as well, and he finished with 30 points. So the Celtics have only lost once when they've combined for 60 or more points. Tatum's big thing, 14 rebounds. That's the Hawks were able to get to the offensive glass, which, it was very infuriating, but at the same time, the second chance points difference, 24-18. It's not that bad. 24-18. The Celtics gave up 12 offensive rebounds, but they had 11 of their own. So overall, not bad there. The Celtics won the battle of points in the paint. The Celtics won fast break 18-4. And for the first time this series, I believe, the shots were even, 94 apiece. So that's a big that the Celtics have been losing that possession battle all series long. So this was a huge kind of win there. And the Celtics win by 8. So they make 3 more baskets, all of them 3-pointers. 47 for 94 versus 44 for 94. Boston was 18 for 42 from 3, 15 for 35 for Atlanta. So 3-pointers, that's 9-point difference. Well, where's that extra point come from? The Hawks had an extra free throw. So that's where you get an 8-point game. Celtics had 3 more threes. Hawks had 1 extra free throw. So it's an 8-point win. But anyway, I thought Tatum with the rebounding prevented a little bit more damage from being done there. So Tatum had a really good game. Al Horford started off slow, and it just felt like, oh, God, poor Al. He can't hit a thing. And then he started getting hot. And Al Horford has the quote of the game where he said there was somebody who was talking trash to him. And he said, I won't tell you who it was, but you can talk trash to some people, but if you talk trash to me, it's not going to go well for you. Like, whoa. Can I just say that I think Al Horford's talking a lot more trash this year than usual, or at least more obvious trash than I've seen it. That was a huge play. And the fact that he was just jawing there, and that was amazing. That was awesome. But Horford, I mean, he had 12 rebounds and 3 offensive rebounds. He finished with 10 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocked shots. Al Horford did a little bit of everything in this game. He was everywhere. Like I said, smart down the stretch was awesome. The pass to Horford was big. They were getting him into the middle. So Tatum and Brown, Tatum especially, were drawing these double teams. They were accepting the double teams, getting the ball to Smart in the middle, and Smart kind of got into the paint. One time he hits Horford. The next time he kind of like gives that fake and gets the layup. Great finish. You know, obviously Smart, you know, a bad turnover in there, a couple of open shots that missed, but overall Smart was great. Grant Williams, got to give Grant some love. Grant had like no playing time all series long, marginal here and there, a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes. Then all of a sudden he comes in and plays 17 and a half. Joe Mazzulla makes the adjustment. No Sam Hauser in the second half. That wasn't working for them. They needed somebody who was switchable, that could still rebound and still play the defense, but wasn't a liability on offense. He hits one 3-pointer. Every basket was obviously huge in here. Couple of rebounds. Then there was a couple of plays there where, you know, Grant didn't play, didn't make the right play. There was one rebound where I was like, you got to box out. You can't be Grant Williams in there and not box out. And a rebound kind of went over his head. But overall, Grant comes in and plays really good defense, does a little bit of everything, couple of rebounds, an assist, a steal. For a guy that had been on the bench and just kind of sitting there, very easy to get lost there. And, you know, early on in the game, you're watching this going back and forth and hoping for your opportunity. And it's very easy to be, tuning out. But he stays with it. He was very engaged all series long. You know, he was very engaged. You can see him on the bench talking to everybody. And, you know, that's a professional. And he comes in and does a really good job. They needed him in this game. And, shout out to Ryan Bernardoni, who summed it up very well on Twitter. If you don't know him, he's at Danger Cart on Twitter. You might have heard him on some other podcasts. But he had a great tweet when it comes to Grant Williams. He's a guy he went from like DNPs to having a marginal role to having a critical role in the upcoming Philadelphia series. He is going to be critical against the Sixers. There's no doubt about that. But hey, credit to him. I thought he played great down the stretch. So Celtics come in, do the job, get this Get the job done. Jayson Tatum apologizing to Janet Jackson after the game was amazing. Not only was it amazing because there's this admission that, yeah, we were supposed to do this, so sorry, Janet. But there's like, for a brief second, you have this little, it's almost like this little boy. Jayson Tatum goes from like grown man MVP candidate sitting there, just dropped 30 points on the Hawks, to, I hope Janet hears this. Sorry, Janet. It was just kind of like, that was just like a fun little moment. I got a kick out of it. So I thought Jayson apologizing to Janet was fun. I thought Derek White. Derek White didn't have a great game, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Kemba Walker at the game. Again, so he's been to all these games in Atlanta, which is not that far for him to go from, Charlotte, which is where he lives. But he's back. It's good to see him back there. Good to see the guys when they see him, just loving seeing him. The smiles on these guys' faces. It's just, you see Tatum post game and you see Brown post game. I see these guys all the time. They're in the locker room. They always got the serious faces on. They don't show us a ton of personality because, they want to keep the media at arm's length. I don't blame them for that. It's not like we have a very business-like interaction. We're not friends or anything like that. First of all, I'm old enough to be their dads, so they wouldn't even want to be friends with me if they could. So they keep a very business-like demeanor. So you don't see the big smiles and the actual personalities that these guys have very often. Kemba Walker shows up, and all of a sudden the big smiles show up. Jaylen Brown, who's generally, it feels like a very serious guy, sees Kemba and he like lights up, and it's like, I didn't realize you had that many teeth, Jaylen. I've never seen you smile like that before. It's awesome to see those guys kind of have that moment there. And the last funny thing that I saw, the video of Jayson Tatum after the game, walking into the tunnel, and he slaps five with Brad Stevens so hard that I swear Brad's hand still stings from that. I've never seen a guy slap five with somebody that hard. That was incredible. That's it. That's my thoughts. I'm done talking about the Atlanta Hawks. That's it. On to the Philadelphia 76ers. So this is the Friday podcast. I'm sure the Celtics will practice on Saturday and Sunday. So there will be something coming out of those 2 days. Sunday, I'll put a podcast together. I'll do a preview of the Sixers series. Spoiler alert, I think the Celtics are going to win that series. So I'll break it down for you coming up on Sunday. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. And I would love it if when you are a subscriber, share the podcast, hop into that YouTube section, the comment section, comment there, share that podcast, spread the word, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.